Google launches Gemini. YouTube is in a battle with ad blockers. We talk about underrated marketing tools and tips, and a quick tip if you use YouTube Shorts. All this on today's Strong Coffee Drip. Hi again, everyone. My name is Brian from Strong Coffee Marketing. As always, I am joined by a man in need of a new microwave, Duncan, and the
Hi.
third member of the Proclaimers, Ian. Welcome to you both. First of all, let me say, shout out to Memorial Business in Stony Plain, Memorial High School, Composite High School, for this hoodie. I feel very underdressed today. I feel like I'm in Miami Vice, and I'm like the extra in Miami Vice. So kudos to you guys for looking sharp. I'll have to up my game next week.
Wear some
Before we
pants,
get started, yeah, well, that's why the camera only shows up here. Before we get started, over my shoulder here, this was on Instagram too, but we have located some canned haggis. We talked about that on the last episode. We will be partaking in this in the next couple of weeks. Duncan has threatened to not come home for Christmas because we're going to try canned haggis. So Duncan may or may not be involved. We don't know yet. So we'll let you know when that's all going to happen, so you can check it out. All right, let's get right into it. The big news in terms of digital and digital marketing for us happened just the other day. Google has launched their Gemini AI model, and people are pretty pumped. We've seen a few videos of some of the possible application, and it looks very, very promising. It's only been out for a day or so, but give me some early thoughts, guys. What do you think about this Gemini AI model and the potential that it could hold?
I mean, at least for me, we saw the video of sort of the interactions with, the hands and different things, and it sort of trying to understand the world around it. It's going to be interesting because I think what it's going to be like is you kind of create your own AI based on how you interact with it, because it's learning as you give it input. So like ChatGPT does this a little bit too, where you can kind of guide it in a conversation to speak a certain way, and then you can ask multiple questions and it will work within that framework that you give it. But you're not interacting with it like live or with a video. It's just by, asking questions. So I am kind of curious the applications of this, but as you're sort of teaching Gemini to learn, it's getting more and more inputs. It's learning you as well and how you interact with it. And I think it's going to create a much more personalized sort of experience. Now, and the business applications of that or personal applications of that are kind of yet to be determined. But I find it very promising and interesting. Like, I'm thinking if I'm a writer or something and I have a certain tone of voice, I can kind of train it. And then it understands that and builds off of it. It creates an interesting, we always thought that robots were going to be cleaning our houses when we were kids. And now we're starting to see the applications in real life where it's really just robots in a computer. But it's still interesting how the whole sci-fi world has sort of evolved, and we're now seeing that in reality.
And how quick this is like the space race. This is happening so fast that, but yeah, Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think very interesting to see. It's obviously, I think, having a bit of competition in the field is good. It looks like from all the results they put out, it looks like they're very similarly aligned to ChatGPT 4, according to the documentation they put out. I do believe, obviously, Gemini has several levels, and the top level would be Ultra, which I think is what they've compared to ChatGPT 4 at this stage. So although they're saying it is better, the Ultra level is not available to the public at this stage. What they've really shared at the moment is the level below that, the Pro level, which still looks excellent. From tests, it looks like it's on par with ChatGPT 3.5, which is the current free version. So if you're using that, then it's certainly worth trying out Bard as an alternative. To me, the one that I think seems very exciting as well, though, is the lowest level, the Micro, which is going to be used on device, for your for the Google Pixel and things like that, it's actually going to be completing everything on device. And I think that's really where things could get very interesting, because your assistants at the moment, sometimes they're great, other times not so great, and this may make big strides there.
Yeah, the mobile one's Nano, right? Is it
The
Nano is
sorry,
the
did I
lowest
say
one?
micro? Yeah, Nano. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I like micro better, but Nano sounds
Yeah.
cool too. For me, I always want to see these things in use. Like, it's neat to hear about it, but it's like, okay, show me something. Show me. Don't tell me about the engine of the car. Show me the car and how I can use it. And I think where it kind of started to make sense to me was last night on our team chat. One of our web developers, Van, sent this interesting video from Google showing how they're going to weave this into Gmail, where you wake up in the morning and this has gone through and read all of the emails that came through overnight and gives you a summary of what has occurred overnight, or maybe you're on a plane or you're on vacation or whatever. It gives you that summary and then helps you kind of get back on track and take over your inbox again. When I saw that, I was like, okay, that's an application that I would actually use. I think Google has done a good job in some of their initial stuff about putting out use case videos, because I think for a lot of people, they see it and they go, wonderful, but I don't know what it means. So they are starting to show that. So I am curious to see where it goes. It does sound like they do want to weave it into their ads platform, into Gmail, and I'm sure it's going to reach into all the different things that Google does eventually. So I would say you're gonna come across it. If you're a Google user, you're gonna come across it somehow. You might just not know that that's actually what you're working with.
Yes.
Well, and I think with a lot of these tools, even Google doesn't know how the public will use them.
Yeah.
I remember when ChatGPT came out initially, there were prompts people were writing in that allowed it to like kind of see the source code of ChatGPT, but also like kind of, turn it evil. So I'm curious, but I think that's one of the interesting things about this new technology is just like a Google search, I think the stat is like 30% of all Google searches are brand new and Google's never seen it even to this day. We will find uses for this that even Google didn't conceive when they started it, as the public starts interacting with it. And I think that's where you get some really cool innovation, and that's where you get disruption in businesses, industries, etc. And I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Also, they mentioned a number of multimodal things in the presentation, but it's worth noting that those are going to be rolled out over the next little while. So although there was lots of examples given and you're like, oh, I really want to try that, a lot of that can't necessarily be tried until the early next year when some of these features
It's very interesting. You got Microsoft that now owns like ChatGPT, and now you got Google that owns Gemini. And these are these huge tech companies with, well, they're both worth over trillions of dollars. So it's very interesting to see them go head to head, but very cool technology.
And as Ian mentioned last time too, Meta is very much in the game. And Ian, I remember you mentioning that, who would have thought Meta would be at the forefront of this discussion a month ago or so. Now, obviously, I did see that they have some stuff. They put out an interesting image generator through AI the other day. The example being a cat on a snowboard, which I'm really excited to play with because I've always wanted a picture of a cat on a snowboard. So I'm interested to see about that. But yeah, this thing is happening so fast, and who knows where it's going to go 2-3 months from now.
And
even
their Llama 2 model, I believe, is in line. That's in partnership with Microsoft as well, I think, isn't it? So I don't know if
everybody's at the table.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much involvement there is there, but I believe that's the case as well. So,
well, we're going to stick on the Google bandwagon with this next question. YouTube, owned by Google, of course, is cracking down on ad blockers. The company has been testing the idea of preventing users with ad blockers from watching videos. Those using ad blockers are reporting seeing ad blockers are not allowed on YouTube message with information about how ads keep the service free, along with a link to YouTube Premium. Ad blockers are nothing new. They've been around a long time, but they do pose a bit of a problem for marketers. What's your take on YouTube's move, and do you think it'll work? Duncan, you run a lot of ads for us. Ad blockers are something that you come across daily. What do you think about what YouTube's up to here?
Okay, yeah. So ad blockers are growing. More and more people are using them, and it is sort of eating into the profits of these behemoths that offer these ad solutions. Now, from my perspective, YouTube Premium just they don't yet have the value case to really get people to want to sign up. Part of the challenge I think with YouTube is generally the content that's on there is technically available elsewhere. You can get it for free on TikTok. It's chopped up into reels. It's available elsewhere for the most part. And if you're just going on there for random information, or if you really want to see a video, you'll just suffer through the ads. Where I think YouTube has an opportunity is if they created content that was only available on YouTube. People would then say, okay, this makes sense. I want to sign up because I want to see this content or I want to view it. Just like, Prime had their own movies, Netflix made their own TV shows. I feel if YouTube really wants to make a model that is a pay to watch model and they want people to sign up for that content, they need to do a better job of providing the exclusive content on it. And until they do, I understand why they're doing this. I just think that they have a rocky road ahead.
I think,
Ian, what about you?
well, yeah, just to follow on from what Duncan was saying there, a number of years ago now, I don't know if it's still going or if they dropped it, but YouTube Red was something that was an attempt to do that. I think they partnered with PewDiePie and a number of other high-profile YouTubers in an attempt to make that content. And I just don't. I think it fell flat because of the fees involved. It was a paid subscription model rather than
Yeah, monthly
yeah.
subscription service that removed all the ads. YouTube
Yeah.
Red. Yep.
So, but yes, I think my feeling of it is, yeah, there's a couple of ways to do it, and they could encourage people to, the carrot or the stick, basically. Do you want to encourage people to work with what you're offering, or do you want to punish them for not doing what you want them to do? And Google's very much going down the latter of those routes at the moment. And I think if they offered something that people would want to use and engage with, and that would still be profitable for them. Now, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that looks like, but if the current model is failing to achieve what they need it to achieve, then maybe it's Google that needs to make the move rather than just saying our customers are evil and we're going to not let them use our platform at all. So I'm kind of against that. Personally, I pay for YouTube Premium, and
there you
that's the one social.
Do you see the value in YouTube Premium?
Well,
Obviously, if you're paying for
it's a
it.
family plan, and yeah, I think my wife and my son both enjoy YouTube as well. I think that we do see value from it, because it's one that we're all on semi-regularly. But it is expensive, and I remember there's a chap called Lewis Rossman. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He was originally from New York. I think he's moved to Texas now, but he is very much in favor of ad blockers. And he says the reason that he likes them is that he feels that if you're paying for YouTube Premium, you get a worse experience than you do by pirating it. And that's his feeling. And he thinks that that's a big part of the problem. It's like if you're paying for something, you really should be getting the best of the best. And his argument was that's not the case. If I use an ad blocker, I'm getting a better experience than I would using the premium feature, which is why he stopped paying for it. So that's it.
Like if YouTube had maybe they had this arm of their business that was like it would go out to a whole bunch of live events. So whatever, go to Beyonce concerts, it would go to hockey games, it would go to various other things.
Yeah.
And if you only got access to that as a premium subscriber, I think they would blow it out of the park with people signing up.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine whatever Broadway plays or various other things in these other places. I mean, you see it a little bit with Cineplex.
Yeah.
They bring in, stuff from the Met in New York, the Taylor Swift concert. I mean, all of those things, that could be a real cool angle for YouTube to create demand
Sports as
for
well.
the premium product, but
Yeah.
they haven't really done that yet. I mean, I've seen some live events. A lot of electronic music festivals often have live events through YouTube. But I think there probably is some sort of solution in there to drive more demand. I just haven't seen it yet, and I don't see the reason to sign up.
Duncan, as an advertiser, do you dislike ad blockers, or you're just acknowledge that they exist and you move on and we find different ways to get in front of people?
I mean, on the digital side, I would say that the audiences generally are pretty large. So even with the people that use ad blockers, you still have a pretty large pool of people to interact with.
Yeah.
I still think getting around the ad blockers, because you still kind of have to hit these people. You just have to think a little bit outside the box. I mean, marketing, if you only do marketing on digital, you're kind of setting yourself up to be a little pigeonholed. So you do have to obviously make yourself known or shown in the market, even if it's just the local market. But there's other ways to reach people. It's not just on digital. And you kind of have to make sure that you're not just focusing on one medium all the time. So I don't have a problem with ad blockers. They make sense. You just won't be the person I'm targeting necessarily.
And you talk about pigeonholed. If your only thing that you're using is advertising as well, that's really going to limit you. But so having a more comprehensive strategy, regardless of the size of your business, is going to help you succeed in the long run.
Do we have an idea of what percentage of YouTube users are using ad blockers? Have they
No, you know what? I'll share the link to the article in the description below. I know there was
15 to 20% right now of the markets kind of using ad blockers of some sort.
The article mentioned that a lot of people started disabling them when YouTube brought this in. I don't know where they're getting that stat from. Is YouTube saying that? I'm not sure, but it's interesting to watch, and I'm curious to see what YouTube does moving forward. My only opinion on it is, what took YouTube so long? I thought this would have been done a long time ago. So when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, they haven't done that. Now they are. So very cool. Speaking of Google, Duncan, I think Google just left me a message on my phone too. This is all Google today, all Google all the time. They're probably looking for you. Probably. So I'll pass them along. Yeah. Let's go to the mailbag again. We did the mailbag last week. Let's do it again, where the questions are real, but the names and locations are fake. Great news, guys. Hector from Tucson is back, and he's got another question. Yeah, Hector, a big fan. He says, hey, guys, I think if Duncan really cares about the podcast, he should consider an air fryer instead of a microwave. So thank you, Hector. Duncan will look into that, as will Santa. No, that's his statement leading up to the question. Hector has opinions, Duncan. He doesn't just ask questions. Okay, thank you, Hector. Anyways, what are some... Yes, Christmas is coming. What are some under-the-radar marketing tools or tips that you can share for small businesses? So Hector does bring up a very good question. Looking ahead as we near the end of 2023, looking ahead to 2024, what's something small or something people could think about with their small business moving forward? I'll start because I never start. So I'm going to start this one because I can, because I'm the host. For me, I think a lot of businesses are on YouTube in some capacity, but maybe don't fully understand everything you can do on there. And the one thing I think that gets overlooked often are YouTube Shorts. So YouTube Shorts are essentially shorter videos, under a minute long. They would resemble an Instagram reel or a TikTok, a vertical video that YouTube has built into their system. And they do bring in a lot of attention. And I think a lot of businesses, although they might have that YouTube channel, they might post there once a year. Whenever they finally make a video, they put it up, not really realizing the power of YouTube Shorts. So I would say, as the one tip I have for a small business, you're probably on YouTube already. Investigate a little bit more what other things it can bring to the table. And if you do have some shorter videos, maybe you've been making some reels on Instagram, it's easy to move them over and add them to Shorts as well. You already have the channel in place. It's just a matter of taking and repurposing content you already have and moving them over to to shorts. I know in doing what we're doing now, we're on episode number 4. We've been doing all sorts of experimenting with how we can repurpose the content we create when we do this. And I think overall, shorts has probably brought in as many views, if not a little bit more, than what we see across Instagram, for example, or even LinkedIn. Yeah, something to look at as you move forward for next year. Don't sleep on YouTube shorts. They show up in search. They've got a fantastic music library. They're really easy to make and post. So that would be my tip. Have a look at YouTube shorts. Ian, why don't you go next?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think when it comes to small businesses in particular, obviously you're going to be working with pretty limited funds. So a strong thing to think about is how you're going to best utilize the money that you do have access to. A lot of people might think that a website is a really necessary part to start out, but I think often it's the sort of, people assume the old adage of if you build it, they will come, to be the case, and it simply isn't. Just because you have a website doesn't mean anyone's going to find it. It may be worth starting off small with your the places you're taking people to. Have your social set up, because you can do that for free, and set up a simple website that looks good enough to do the job, to sell the products that you want to have and sell, and then put some money into ads. I think initially when people are setting out, they perhaps fear ads. They do think they can do a lot organically, but ads are really going to be the thing that get people to your site once you've built it, and can help get you those conversions. It's better to get 100 people to your site and make 4, 5, 6 sales than get 2 people to your site and make 1 sale just by having a really beautiful website. So building that traffic to raise awareness of what it is you do, what it is you offer, and hopefully make those conversions.
More on the content and ad side, less on the website side. You can always build a larger website,
absolutely.
Expand on your website in the future.
You can have a great website without it being all singing, all dancing, all the bells and whistles. It can be fairly simple, but if you've got some nice images on there, you've got some good content on there, then you're off to a great start.
Unless your business is selling singing and dancing lessons, then you need singing and dancing.
You need all singing and all dancing.
That's another quick tip.
Yeah.
Duncan, what about you? Small businesses, what's something easy, maybe something underrated, under the radar? What kind of tip can you provide them?
Well, I mean, I'll just start by echoing Ian's point a little bit here, and just saying that a simple search campaign for a very narrow set of keywords is a cheap and easy way to get pretty qualified traffic to your site. I mean, again, it doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles. It just has to get the main information across. Now, that's probably the easiest way, because I mean, if you think of a new business, you don't have a lot of SEO clout. Your website maybe has been around for 3 days. So like, how do you start getting the traffic? And there's no way really to get found on Google organically in the first week, because Google has to go and index your site, etc., and look at your content. And generally, you won't have a lot of content with a new website. So really, the only way to really get noticed is run a search ad so that you can immediately show up on that first page of Google and get some traffic to your site. Now, one thing my point that I was going to add to this, Google Search Console, it's a free tool. You type in Google Search Console, you'll find it. And it allows you to see the organic traffic that your site's getting, but it also allows you to send your website to Google to get it indexed. So you kind of like speed up that process a little bit. And they just did an overhaul of it. They didn't really announce anything. I was in there just last week, and you can get like year-over-year data when it comes to your organic SEO. You get the keywords that you're showing up for. And they have a really cool reporting system that never used to exist. It used to always be like a 2-month or 3-month window and you couldn't look back. Now, once you get that on your site, you have data for years moving forward. And it's really fun to compare. You can look at your overall search engine optimization picture. And I think for a small business starting out, that is a huge and valuable tool that you can't get anywhere else for free. I mean, Google Analytics hides all that information, but Google Search Console gives it to you on a platter, and highly recommend it for new businesses because you learn a lot about that organic footprint that you're creating.
Yeah. It'll show you errors if Google's not liking something on your website. It's not indexing all the pages. It's like the ultimate tool to see whether or not Google likes you, and then it'll tell you how to improve. Mm-hmm. It's like the Google friendship tool. Does it like you? Does it not like you? Here's some tips to improve. Some really good tips, guys.
If it absolutely hates you, it'll let you know. It'll say you.
It will. Yeah. Hopefully, people never get to that point, but you never know.
Something else touching on there, I guess, is getting into testing fairly early as well might be worth considering. It seems like it can seem very daunting when you first start out to think about things like that. But if you run 2 different ads trying to sell the same thing, and one performs better than the other, then that's great information. You know that that's the kind of pathway that you want to go down for future ads when you're selling either that product or similar products, and that seems to be performing better for you, making those sales and getting that extra money in your bank when you most need it right at the start.
Oh, for sure. You know what? Kind of to everybody's point, the big thing is start small. You can always expand out later. If you try to do too much coming out of the gate, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Not to mention, as a small business owner, you actually have to run the business. That's the other side of things, because obviously if that's not happening, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think Google Search Console is a fantastic tool. Like Duncan said, completely free. Starting your website small, expanding out from there, giving advertising a try. Maybe you've done some ads in the past and you didn't feel you got the value, or something went wrong. Don't let that deter you from trying it again. I think in the long run, you'll see positive results. Great job, guys. We're going to end this on a bit of a quick tip. This one is pretty basic. We're going to keep with the Google YouTube theme, which kind of came across the entire program today. Going back to YouTube Shorts, if YouTube Shorts are part of your marketing strategy, or you're thinking about including them in your marketing strategy moving forward, a while back, a couple months, I think now, they added a bunch of extra little tools when you're uploading shorts. And one of the coolest ones they put in, they didn't really talk about it a whole lot, but they put in the idea of recommended videos. So when you upload a short, you'll see there's going to be a spot where it says recommended video. And you can actually go and click that, and you can recommend another video from your library that will show as a recommendation once the short is done. So the short being not very long, the reason they call it a short, that will run, and at the end it'll show here's a recommended video. So the idea of video cards, etc., have been around for a long time with larger videos, but these recommended videos for shorts is relatively new. I think one strategy you could try is, if you've got a larger video that you're hoping to drive traffic to, and you're using shorts to do so by showing little clips of the larger video, if you make that larger video your recommended video, people finish watching the short, they go, that was kind of interesting, here's the recommended video, which drives you back to the bigger one. It's completely free. It's in there. There's probably people that pass right by it, but it's right there. All you got to do is click. It'll pull up all the videos you have on your channel. You pick which one you want. Away you go. So a really quick, simple tool from YouTube Shorts. It's a great opportunity to link to a longer piece of content. Or I was doing this the other day, looking at some videos. Some people, if they have a series of shorts that are like chapters or in a series of some sort, they just link to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and you kind of just watch the whole progression as you go all the way through. So simple, effective, and free. That's all for today. Anything else you guys want to add? It's been a good week. I think we're getting close to Christmas. Hopefully, Duncan, you do come for Christmas so we can enjoy some Scottish food. Really looking forward to that. Anything to add? We're good.
No, I think we're good for today.
Look at we did it all in record time as well. So thank you very much to Crockett and Tubbs for joining us today on the podcast. I promise I will dress up more so in the future. Hopefully Duncan doesn't boycott his trip home, and we can have some canned haggis in the coming weeks. Thanks, Ian and Duncan, for joining me again on another edition of the Strong Coffee Drip. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on Instagram. I'm Brian from Strong Coffee Marketing. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Now, guys, let's get back to work.
Bye.